Are you what?
Good evening, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101, and today we'll be talking about the White House Hispanic Prosperity Initiative. This is something that President Bush came about in the 1990s to help him to win his reelection, and also Donald Trump picked up the mantle and signed this initiative, also known as an executive order. And we're going to map down, we're going to read through and deconstruct this to see how things are done in the dark while everybody else is essentially distracted with marching and protesting, and essentially African Americans, Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, whatever you want to label yourself, still continue to get a nothing burger. So, what amazes me, ladies and gentlemen, is that time and time again, it doesn't matter what president, it doesn't matter who's in office. And we continue to have other Black people as spokespersons, as shields of either the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. But time and time again, foundational Black Americans, American descendants of slaves, African people who are part of that diaspora that are American naturally born, we continue to get lied to. We continue to get tricked. We could just continue to be dismayed on every sense of political and social economic in this country. It does not matter, because all the while, it's not that we wanting him to do anything against the Hispanics, but we didn't know that Donald Trump was doing things for the Hispanics in order to win the Hispanic vote. But I was thinking when I said, you know what? Donald Trump had a lot of Hispanic support. I wonder why that is. So when we go and we look at this, ladies and gentlemen, this is why that is. This is why that is. It's called the White House Hispanic Prosperity Initiative. And with this started off as, I'm going to read a little bit of this passage here. It says here that the White House Initiative on Education Excellence for Hispanics, they renamed it, is now the White House Hispanic Prosperity Initiative. The initiative was originally established by President George H.W. Bush in 1990 to address the educational and disparities faced by the Hispanic community. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is another term of benign neglect on every parties, where everybody is getting some form of legislation to help them out. And when I read some of this particular initiative or this executive order, you won't see people of color. You won't see diversity. You won't see minorities. You're going to see Hispanics. And again, for my Hispanic brothers and sisters, this has nothing to do with you. This has nothing to hate on what you guys got going on, but it's to show Black Americans how we continually to get nothing as we continue to vote in people. Whether it be Republican or Democrat. And for those who are new to this channel, for those who are new of watching me, I am apolitical. So it doesn't matter you were speaking up for Donald Trump or you're speaking up for Joe Biden. I don't give a damn. But this goes to show you that time and time again, these politicians are systematically in a global system, but mainly in the U.S., of oppression of melanated people. This is the issue. And this is why a lot of you have to start to develop the mindset of B1. Black first. You have to think about you and your community first before you start thinking about everybody else. Or what about the Asians? What about the Hispanics? What about the white? No, think about you, because guess what? Just because you love yourself, just because you want to support your race, doesn't mean you hate anybody else. Because guess what? Asians support Asians. Hispanics support Hispanics. White people support white people. But when it comes to black people, they shame us, whether it be politically, socially, economically, mass media, when we try to support ourselves. But you have to start getting to the mind frame. We're the only one who's going to pull us out of the mess that they put us in. All the while they continue to oppress us. All the while they continue to systematically, racially discriminate against us. We still have to find a way not only to survive, but in order to thrive and make it. We have to, because when I go over this, you're going to see some things. You're going to be like, oh, wow, I didn't know this about this initiative. So let me get into it before I get into some sort of rant. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about here. So let me blow this up just a little bit bigger, okay? So this is the White House Hispanic Prosperity Initiative that essentially President H.W. Bush put into effect back in 1990. And again, we're going to map out. I want to show you exactly some of the information here. It says here, publication date, July 14th, 2020, just last year, not even a year ago. Agency, Executive Office of the President. Document type, presidential document type, executive order, okay? And again, for you haters out there who, President Trump was the realest thing, federalregister.gov. This is a federal website, okay? So let's get into it. I'm going to read a little bit for you guys to totally understand what I'm getting at here. It says, by the authority vested in me as the president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America in order to improve Hispanic Americans' access to educational and mainly economic opportunities, it is hereby ordered as follows. Listen to this. Purpose: the success of Hispanic Americans is integral to the economic future of our country. Is integral to the economic future of our country. Now, last time I checked, Black Americans in this country have built $15 trillion for this country to be the most powerful and the most richest country in the world. But again, I digress, because there is no African American Prosperity Initiative, but there is one for Hispanics. Okay? Because again, you see up here it says educational, correct? I'm just breaking it down. Then it says economic opportunities. But when you come down here, it says what? Integral to the economic future of the country, not the educational. Then it says here, as more than 60 million Hispanics live in the United States today, Hispanics are the largest minority group in the country. Hispanics are the nation's youngest major racial or ethnic group. Generation of Hispanics constituting different backgrounds and cultures have contributed to building a strong and prosperous America. Their collective contributions continue a legacy of inspiration that is a cherished part of the American experience. While we celebrate the many ways Hispanic Americans have contributed to our nation, we also recognize that they face challenges. Wow, Hispanics face challenges. Okay, I do agree they face challenges, but I think Black Americans face more challenges. But I digress. In assessing educational and economic opportunities in the last 3 years, my administration, now, ladies and gentlemen, for just tuning in, this is from Donald Trump. This is from July of 2020 of last year. It says, in the last 3 years, my administration has supported school choice, Hispanic serving institutions, and new career paths, including apprenticeships and work-based learning initiatives, because quality education options offering multiple pathways to economic success are critical to develop our nation's potential for the jobs of tomorrow. My administration has also supported investment in economically distressed communities. Have you heard the word economic and economically repeated after? That's what you call building up on tangibles. That's what you call building up on resources, building up on opportunities. Then it says here, my administration has also supported investment in economic distressed communities, including through opportunity zones and economic opportunities for small and minority-owned businesses. The initiative set forth in this order increases emphasis on the connection between educational economic opportunities and exploring promoting opportunities for Hispanic Americans, both through the outside traditional education options, okay, outside the traditional education option, meaning they're getting extra support that lead to economic prosperity. Today, Americans have more path to prosperity than any previous generation, and it's necessary to ensure that Hispanic Americans have every opportunity to access these pathways and to fulfill their educational and economic aspiration. Tell me when the government have helped African Americans, foundational Black Americans, American descendants of slaves, to help them with their fulfillment of educational and economic aspirations. Tell me when we've got that in executive order. Because Joe Biden made the Lift Every Voice plan, but it had diversity all over the place, minority all over the place, people of color all over the place. And this came from Donald Trump all the way. We thinking that Donald Trump was race baiting, but why did Hispanic Americans go out in droves and vote for Donald Trump? Did you guys know about the Prosperity Initiative? Because I had to do a little bit of research. I had to do a little bit of fact finding. I had to do a little bit of digging in order to find it. And the reason why sometimes things are difficult to find because you got to use the right words. I didn't know it was an initiative. Okay, I tried to look up executive order. It didn't really do too many hits, but it's an initiative that's in the form of executive order. Okay, so instead of reading this whole entire document, I'm going to skip down to a couple of parts. And I'm going to show you how they very detail and they continue to say Hispanics. And you don't want me to essentially compare and contrast this with the Lift Every Voice plan, do you? Do you want me to do that? Because I can. Because in the Lift Every Voice plan, that's supposed to be the plan for Black America. That's why you don't hear a bunch of those Democratic shills really talk. Because they read the plan, they're like, wow, minority and people of color is all over the place. While this one has Hispanics all over the place because this is their initiative. All right, section 2 of this executive order. There is established the White House Hispanic Prosperity Initiative housed in the Department of Education. The mission of this initiative shall be to improve access by Hispanic Americans to educational and economic opportunities. Consistent with this mission, the initiative shall have encourage private sector initiative and foster public-private partnerships that improve access to education and economic opportunities. That's a nothing burger. So that's zero, that's ouch. Develop a national network of individuals, organizations, and community which to consult and collaborate regarding practices and policies that improve access to educational and economic opportunities for Hispanic Americans. That is nothing. That is zilch. Not yet. Monitor the development, implementation, and coordination of federal government education, workforce, and business development programs designed to improve outcomes from Hispanic Americans and advise, it says, where we go? I think I lost my spot here. Give me 1 second. Develop a national network of individuals. It says monitor the development, implementation, and coordination of federal government educational workforce. Here I am. Sorry about that. And advise the president through the Secretary of Education on issues of importance to Hispanic Americans and policies relating to Hispanic American prosperity. Okay. Then it goes to say that the initiative should be led by an executive director designated by the secretary, so on and so forth. So let's scoot down a little bit. Let's keep going. Let's go to section 3. The President Advisory Commission on Hispanic Prosperity, right? Then we get into all the departments that's going to be a part of this initiative. The Secretary of Commerce, the Secretary of Labor, the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Secretary of Education, the Administrator of the Small Business Administration. The functions of the commission shall be to promote pathways in demand for Hispanic American students, including apprenticeships, internships, fellowships, mentorships, and work-based learning initiatives. So basically what that's telling us is the federal government is going to help Hispanics to get into apprenticeships program, internships program, fellowships program, and mentorships program. But again, I asked the question, who are the highly most oppressed people in this nation? people that look like me. Don't worry, I answered it for you. Don't even worry about it. It says here, strengthen HSIs as defined by the Higher Education Act of 1965 as amended and increased the participation of the Hispanic American community, Hispanic serving school districts, and HSIs in the programs of the Department of Other Educations. Promote local-based and national private-public partnerships to promote high-quality education, training, and economic opportunities for who? Hispanic Americans, not for people of color. Not for people of color like he did the Lift Every Voice plan. I got to show you the Lift Every Voice plan. I've showed it before, but a lot of you may not understand the compare and contrast that I'm making here. And I'm trying to beat up no president. I'm not trying to beat up any executive order. But here we go with the Lift Every Voice plan. And what did it say? A plan for Black America. Well, watch I do this. I love doing this. It's one of my favorite things to do when I'm showing you guys the hypocrisy in this country. The hypocrisy is real. I'm going to type in people of color. Watch this. So people of color is in this document 8 times. And you see here, make sure economic relief because of COVID-19 reaches the African American businesses that need it the most. So you said, oh, he's going to help the African American businesses, right? That is just in bold letters. That is just showing you the bull crap up front, because when you read the freaking document, which most people didn't, it says here, the first installment of the Paycheck Protection Program largely left out minority-owned businesses. Okay, he's just labeling it because the minority-owned businesses. Okay, we are a minority. But then it says here, the Center for Responsibility Lending estimates that more than 90% of small business owned by who? People of color will not receive loan. The program is not taking into account the specific challenge that African-American business face in access funding and complying with the program's requirements. The financial institutes best positioned to help African-American small businesses don't have the systems to quickly deploy the funding in a first-come, first-served approach. The second phase set aside $60 billion for community banks and CDFIs as well as mid-sized banks, which can better serve smaller businesses and minority-owned firms. This is a good start, but more needs to be done. Okay, Joe, more needs to be done. Then it says here, housing community primarily comprised of people of color. Why is minority and people of color continue to be in this document? Where when I look at the White House Hispanic Prosperity Initiative, the only thing I see is what? Hispanic Americans. I do not see people of color. All through this document, you're going to see what? Promote awareness of education opportunities for who? Hispanic Americans, students, option to enhance school choice, personalized learning, family engagement, and civics education. So not only going to help you educationally wise, they're not going to only help you economically, they're going to help your family engagement and your civic education. They're also going to help you to get into what? Apprenticeships, internships, fellowships, mentorships, and work-based learning initiative. But when I come back to the Lift Every Voice plan, what do I see? I see restore the government's power to enforce settlements against discriminatory lenders. And then I see by charging significantly high interest rate for who? People of color than white individuals. I keep seeing the same thing. Then it says here, exclusionary zoning has for decades been strategically used to keep what? People of color. It should say Black Americans. Joe, you said this was Lift Every Voice, a plan for Black American. You should not have this around the bill. No one knew about this White House Hispanic Prosperity Initiative. And again, for my Hispanic followers, I am not hating. I am just banking on the fact that we have yet to receive any sort of executive order, any sort of initiative, any sort of anything. Okay? Then it says here, and he will mandate the contract publicly disclose plans to recruit and advance people of color, women, that's all women, people with disabilities, and covered veterans. All of this is in the plan for Black America. Because when you say Black America, think about it like this, folks. Plans to recruit and advance Black Americans. Because guess what Black Americans include? Black Americans include women. Black Americans include Black people with disabilities. Black Americans include Black veterans. It includes melanated people in this country. But no, we continue to see the same thing. People of color. Let me show you one better. Minorities. Let's look at this one. Minority. Development is minority business development, helps minority-owned firms apply. See, here's the thing. Let me show you one thing. Increase opportunities for African-American-owned businesses to obtain or participate in federal contracts. Are we seeing this? Can we all see this? Are we seeing this? And the reason why I am harping on this is because in bold letters, it's kind of like if you just read the title, you know about the movie, you know about the book. Oh, yeah, I know about that title, so I know about the book. No, you have to read the book. So let me read the book for you. Here's the title, Increase Opportunities for African American-owned businesses, right? To obtain federal contracts. But if you scroll down, it says here, the Biden administration implemented its vision for more equitable access to funding contracts through a variety of channels, including by launching the Federal Procurement Center as well as the Commerce Department's Minority Business Development Agencies. The FPC, a first-of-its-kind program, helps minority-owned firms apply for and win federal government contracts. As president, Biden will build on these efforts to support the expansion of opportunities for minority-owned small businesses. What are minority-owned small businesses? That include white women, that include Hispanics, that includes Asians, that includes Pacific Islanders, that includes East Indians. So we are the third largest minority. You have Hispanics second and us third. We are third in the chute and Asians are fourth. But ladies and gentlemen, you see how the hypocrisy runs so deep. Because when I look at any of our plans and I look at the word minority over and over and over and over again, it doesn't matter. It's all over this Lift Every Voice plan, a plan for Black America, but increase the funding for who? Minority business development. You know what? I got to open up another page. I have to open up another page so I can continue to show you the name of this particular plan. I have to show you, right? Because I want to make sure you do a compare and contrast to see what I'm looking at. Right here. What'd that say? The Biden plan for Black America. Do you see minority? Do you see minority? Do you see diversity? Do you see urban? Do you see people of color? No, you see Black America, right? But when you get into the plan for minorities, increase funding not for Black American Business Development Agency budget, but for Minority Business Development Agency. See, I understand Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. You're not going to do anything. You're not going to do anything specifically for Black people, but you will do things for Asian people. And ladies and gentlemen, just so I'm being corrected here, so you guys are not getting confused. This particular initiative was about Donald Trump. By Donald Trump, by the way of H.W. Bush back in 1990. It started off as the Educational Excellence for Hispanics and is now the White House Hispanic Prosperity Initiative that Donald Trump continued on in order to win the Hispanic vote, because majority of Hispanics voted for who? President Trump, or well, ex-President Trump. That's who Hispanics mostly voted for. And we voted for Joe Biden, but what did Joe Biden do for us? Nothing. But I'll show you. I will show you. Give me 1 second. I will show you what he did for us. I'm going to show you how all of these presidents continue to ignore black people. They continue to ignore black people. Now we understand that this particular legislation is from the Joe Biden administration. Memorandum condemning and combating racism, xenophobia, and intolerance against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the United States. Okay, cool. Now, let me do a Control F. I love Control F. It helps me out. I want to look at people of color because maybe it's in here. People of color. 0. There's 0 people of colors. Okay. Minority might be in here one time. Minority might be in here one time. Minority. There's no minority in here. But let's look at businesses. Let's look at businesses. Look at this. Let's look at businesses. Businesses at risk. See, when you're talking about racism, xenophobia, but look, what is this executive order trying to do? First is mapping out the issues that Asian Americans have been through during the pandemic and some of the racist rhetoric that Donald Trump put out against them. But it says, during the coronavirus 2019 pandemic, inflammatory and xenophobic rhetoric has put Asian American and Pacific Islanders, persons, families, communities, and businesses at risk. Then it says here, the federal government must recognize that it has played a role in furthering the xenophobic sentiments through the actions of political leaders. They're talking about Donald Trump, including reference to the COVID-19 pandemic by geographic location of its origin, talking about China. Such statements have stoked unfounded fears and perpetuated stigma about Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have contributed to increasing rates of bullying, harassment, and hate crimes. Yeah, no, hate crimes don't happen to African Americans, Foundation Black Americans. It doesn't happen to us. We're not targeted because of the color of our skin. We're not targeted because we have Black Lives Matter signs in our yards. We're not targeted because we support and we protest when injustice from the police occur. That doesn't happen to us. That doesn't happen to us, but we don't have any sort of order like this to protect us, that is solely for Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. You see how every president has some sort of executive order or initiative to help their base, to help people they're trying to uplift. And also, in retrospect, to punish other people, because supposedly there's a rise in Black on Asian crime. I can't remember a time where I wanted to just go harm Asian people. But this is the rhetoric that mass media has been putting out. So they come up with this executive order for protection. Police got the Blue Shield law from Obama. President Trump and George Bush gave Hispanics the White House Hispanic Prosperity Initiative. Joe Biden gave us the Live Every Voice plan for Black America that has the word minority all over it. If I was a teacher, you failed. If I was a teacher, everything that's highlighted is an F. This is the issues that we face, Black Americans. So the benign neglect, the undermining of foundational Black Americans is real. Is real. Let me continue on, because again, these are federal websites. I am not making this up. I am not getting this from Wikipedia. This is a federal website. This is the federalregister.gov. Let me move on. Promote local-based national private public partnerships to promote high-quality education, training, economic opportunities for who? Oh, minorities. No, not minorities. People of color. No, not people of color. Hispanic Americans. You see how we get holed out. We get holed out with the word minority and people of color, while everybody else get direct assistance and support. Oh, what else should we promote? Awareness of educational opportunities for Hispanic American students, including options to enhance school choice, personal learning, family engagement, and civic education. Let's move on. It advised the president and the initiative of education and economic opportunity for Hispanic American communities. And it goes on to say all of this other, federal government law talk. It says nothing in this order shall be construed to impair or otherwise affect. Okay, now they're protecting themselves, the authority granted by the law to the executive department of agency. They have this at every end of every executive order. They had that at every executive order. The commission shall terminate 2 years after the date of this order unless extended by the president. So this is still in effect. That initiative is still in effect until 2022 July. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't make this stuff up because you know what? I can show you this all day. Oh, Joe Biden, he doing something for black people. Look, he got to lift every voice and sing. Tell earth that no, we get nothing until we get nothing. Because again, I have to highlight and drive this narrative home, Black America. But when I look at the plan and the tangibles that are within, it says what? Here they fool you and they say increase opportunities for who? African American owned businesses to obtain what? Participate in federal contracts. But then when you read it, it says President Biden will build on these effects to support the expansion of opportunities for who? Minorities. But when I look at this executive order for Asians, and again, ladies and gentlemen, I have no hate. I have no resentment for Asians or any other race. I'm just speaking for my people to show you the hypocrisy, the ignorance, the undermining, the benign neglect that we continue to receive from each and every administration. And this is why I have been apolitical. I used to call myself an independent, but I really didn't care about politics because continuously they do nothing for black people. They do nothing for black people. And then the other day, I'm looking at Herschel Walker, the football player, the biggest, strongest coon I done seen to date, talking to Congress about African Americans, descendants of slaves, don't deserve reparations. I'm looking at this brother and I'm looking at his house. He has a stairway that circles up. He got 30-foot ceilings. Dude, you're freaking rich, of course. And this is what my thing, he's a football player, knows nothing about politics. He can barely read. If you please go, oh my gosh. I probably need to show that because the brother can hardly read, and I believe that some Democrats put him up to this. And he could barely read what they put in front of him. And this is what the headlines read. Herschel Walker says Black Americans shouldn't get reparations. Can we look at this, family? Can I show this very quickly? Let's look at this. I gotta play this. I have to play this. I have to play this for you guys. Give me 1 second as I'm trying to get this up. Listen to this.
Power to create white guilt. My approach is biblical. We use white power to create white guilt. My approach is biblical. How can I ask my Heavenly Father to forgive me if I can't forgive my brother? I never want to put anyone's religion down, but my religion teaches togetherness. Reparation teaches separation. Slavery ended over 130 years ago.
I'm back.
We use black power to create white guilt.
I'm up here.
How can I ask my heavenly?
I'm up here so pissed off, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even have the audio on. I don't even have the audio on. Mr. Kuhn, Mr. Sambo, Herschel Stupid Walker said that reparations is separation. You see this guy's house? His freaking ceilings are 50 feet. He's an ex-NFL football player that's cooning for the Democratic Party, talking about we don't need reparations. Last time I checked, the descendants of Native Americans are still receiving reparations and living on sovereign land that don't pay taxes to this land. You stole their land. We built this country. Our ancestors built this country. So if we are the descendants from our ancestors, then we are entitled to money as well. But you're going to sit up here and tell Congress that reparations and separation? Are you freaking killing? You're the biggest coon that I've ever seen in my freaking life. Give me a freaking knife. Coon mother, man.
We use black power to create white guilt. My approach is biblical. How can I ask my heavenly Father to forgive me if I can't forgive my brother? I never want to put.
Are we being serious right now? His is biblical. How can you ask your heavenly Father to forgive? But it's not about forgiveness, Herschel Walker. It's not about forgiveness, stupid. It's about giving people what they're owed. It's about giving people what their ancestors bled and fought for. I'm gonna let it play. I'm sorry. Golly, you can't coon better than this.
Anyone religion down, but my religion teach togetherness. Reparation teach separation. Slavery ended over 130 years ago. How can a father be asked his son to spend prison time for a crime he committed? In the case we speak of, we're researching father back in history.
Okay, I couldn't do it. He said, how can we ask the son to serve prison time for the father? He's not even making a direct correlation of reparations. When in the hell we telling, all the white people of slave owners should go to jail? No, Mr. Coon, no, Mr. Sambo. We're talking about money. That's what we're talking about. Because here's the thing. When white people stole the land, those explorer murderers from the European nation that came over here and stole the Native American land and then had us to build the country, the generations of wealth that they built, guess who that money, guess who that land was passed down to? Their sons and daughters. No one's talking about no goddamn jail time. Why would you? See, he made that correlation because he didn't want to make it economic. He did not want to make it economic because that was stupid. They would make, you can't have the father to go to jail. You can't have the son to go to jail for the father's sins. No one's talking about that. We're talking about give us what you owe, cut the check, give us the bag. That's what we're talking about. That's why he deflected from that narrative of money, talking about jail. Talking about, slavery was 130 years ago. Go and tell the Native Americans that. You are a black man who's freaking rich. As you look in the background of this video, ladies and gentlemen, this guy is living in a mansion telling other black people we shouldn't get reparations, that reparations is separation. Well, let me tell you something. The Native Americans are loving separation with that free money from the federal government. And I can tell you right now, 40 million foundational black Americans will love separation with $335,000 each in a check if they were to divide up the amount of wealth of $15 trillion that our ancestors have built for us in this country. Mr. Walker, ridiculous.
A history of many are not taught or spoken about in school. America is the greatest country in the world to me, a melting pot of a lot of great races, a lot of great minds that have come together with different ideas and make America the greatest country in the earth, on earth. Many have died trying to get into America. No one is dying trying to get out.
I can't play it again, family. I'm a blow my top. That's the biggest cooning I've seen in a very long time. They're going to use what this brother said against us. This is why you have this. This is why you have this. This is why targeted groups can get targeted tangibles, can get targeted protections because of coons and Sambos like Herschel Walker. What else? This is how the Hispanic Americans can receive a prosperity initiative from Donald Trump. This is how Asian Americans can receive an executive order from Joe Biden. This is how that Barack Obama signed a Blue Shield law. Every group gets something except for Black Americans. And when they do pretend like they're going to give us something, guess what they put on it? Minority, 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 minority. But they pander to you up here, African American owned businesses, to participate in federal contracts. But then when they start talking about money, when they start talking about money, they say we're going to expand the opportunities for who? Minorities. The word African American goes away. The word African American goes away. Oh, man. That was given to him from a White House administrator or something like that, because he could barely read it. He said school. And I can't pronounce all my words, but he didn't even practice this. Because here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Democrats, Republicans, they're always finding for Sambos and coons in the Black community to undermine the bigger picture, because they know that we still want reparations. We're still fighting for reparations. So they go out in the Black community and say, well, who can we use? Who can we use? And last time, wait a minute. I want to know Herschel Walker political affiliation, because I thought he was a Republican. But he's now undermining Black Americans with reparations. Can I show you something? What did it say right here? Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This who Congress is currently talking to. They continue to find the weakest links in our community and prop them up. And the problem I have with this, that this man is rich, but he's speaking for us to Congress. Why are they getting an ex-NFL player that really knows nothing about politics, for one? But then again, if you're a Black man and you don't believe that we shouldn't get reparations, what about the other 40 million of us? How about this shut the hell up? Now, granted, you have the right of freedom of speech, but you have to know when you are being used as a puppet and they are the puppet master. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Throughout the course of history, we either be in slavery, Jim Crow, Black codes, modern day times. For some reason, white supremacists can always point out the Sambos and or coons. If anybody watched the Judas and the Black Messiah, you see the coon that the FBI turned because of one of his crimes. So instead of doing this crime, he infiltrated the Black Panther Party and took down Fred Hampton and essentially mapped out the room where they assassinated, the Chicago Police Department assassinated Fred Hampton. See, they always use one of us, just like they try to play with Malcolm X, saying, oh, the Nation of Islam. And they had a lot of Black people believe in this, that the Nation of Islam set up Malcolm X. There was jealousy between him and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But again, who killed Malcolm X? 2 black dudes. Supposedly, two or three black armed gunmen gunned down Malcolm X while he was giving a speech. See, they use us to kill us, then say, look at you guys, you're doing it to yourself. All the while, when you go back and you look at COINTELPRO, counterintelligence, that was mainly against the Black Panther Party. Yeah, they went against the Ku Klux Klan, but they dismantled the Black Panther Party. They literally assassinated Fred Hampton. They shot 99 bullets into the apartment of Fred Hampton and all the other Black Panther Party. The Black Panther Party shot 1 shot. 1. After all of the evidence and CSI did all their science and research, the Black Panther Party shot 1 time. The Chicago Police Department, by the way of the FBI, by the way of J. Edgar Hoover, shot 99 times. But they always find a coon, a Sambo, a turncoat, a traitor to our race in order to facilitate their plans, their will, and them undermining us each and every time. Each and every time. And there you have it. The Hispanic Prosperity Initiative under Donald Trump. There you have it, the memorandum condemning racism and xenophobia against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. Every president has done something for every group except Black Americans. Where's the Black Americans Prosperity Initiative? Where's the Black Americans condemning and combating racism? Because last time I checked, I'm always seeing us being terrorized on video. We either be from the police or other white supremacist groups and or persons. But everybody gets their executive orders. Everybody gets support under the federal government except foundational Black Americans. Family, let me see what you guys have been saying before I get out of here, because that dude just blew my mind. That dude, see, usually they find somebody to undermine us who has committed a crime and or who is poor. Hey, man, if you go in there and you snitch on the Nation of Islam, we'll give you 100,000. Hey, man, if you go and infiltrate the Black Panther Party, we'll wipe away your crimes and you can go free, and we're going to give you money. That's what happened to the FBI informant that essentially took down the Black Panther Party. Because without him, they probably would have never took out the Black Panther Party. They probably would try to find somebody else, but they will always find a coon. That's our history, unfortunately. Hispanics, the white conquistadors from Spain, Latinos from Latin America. Hey, Copper, Hispanic Americans, man. Hispanic Americans. 30 plus and counting. Right on. He just got in there and he's already pissing me off. She also said, I'm so happy you're pointing this out. What about reparations and benefits for Blacks? Benefits for Blacks? What's that? Opportunities for Blacks? What's that? Federal contracts for Blacks? What is that? Resources for Blacks? Oh my gosh. Anthony Bruton says, it said we don't want a handout. We just want what's fair. The same old crap. Give just enough. Exactly. See, this is the problem. These people who get on TV, talk to these political officials, and they say that Black Americans are asking for a handout. We even have Black people saying that too. Well, I made it. Well, yeah, you made it. But what did it take for you to make it? And believe me, just because you make it doesn't mean everybody's going to make it. Oh my gosh. They never want us to be better or above their level. See, we just want what's owed to us. Just like the Native Americans, they're getting what's owed to them. We just want what's owed to us. And Derek, see, it is sad. It's very sad. He said, for us to truly live, we have to be willing to die. Us Blacks can never be ourselves, can't make mistakes or anything. We are always under the microscope. Always, anytime one person do one thing, they exploit it to a magnified level, right? Like the whole thing about this this black on Asian crime. There was literally a African dude, and the reason I'm saying African, not to discriminate against them or not, but I believe he was Nigerian or Kenyan. I really don't know per se, so don't quote me on that. But he is from the continent of Africa. He is not what we call a foundation of Black America, where his roots and stem and his roots are from this country. So let's get that straight. He was going around pushing Asian people. And so all of a sudden, there's like this rise on Black and Asian crimes. So essentially, you're going to take one dude or maybe two and blame 40 million Black people. But let's be real. We're used to this. We're used to this. If one of us do one thing bad, all of us do it. If one Black guy robbed one store, steals one thing, all of us steal. All of us are criminals. All of us are bad apples. Except the people like Herschel Walker, except the people who are coons, or what some of us may say back in the day, Oreos. And then I'm hearing this new term. Have you heard this new term? And this is not from America, ladies and gentlemen. Have you heard this new racist term that supposedly Black people are using to one another called coconut? Listen, Black Americans don't use the term coconut. When in the world, I don't ever recall me, and I'm from Washington, D.C., and when I was growing up, Washington, D.C. was 70% Black. We have never used the term, oh, you're just an old coconut. Coconut? There's no coconuts in America except for Hawaii. Maybe Florida. But that's not a common used term. That is most likely from the Caribbean and or Africa, where there's plenty of palm trees. Oh my gosh. Sean says, so why every race with tragedy in history get theirs? Exactly. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. Oh, yeah, I went through some audio problems there. D'Angelo said he's reading a script from a white publicist. Indeed he was, brother. Indeed he was. Absolute idiot. He could barely read it. I mean, I have to do it. I wasn't going to do it. But I may do it. Everyone else was trash and there got paid. But Blacks, yet we built this country for all. Indeed. Sadness, but our race is easily food. Easily food. We got food by the Democrats since what? It's been 40 years. Ever since the 60s, we've been continuing to vote for Democrats. Oh, I'm a Democrat. Why? Well, they always doing something for Black people. What have they done for Black people? Oh, well, they gave us Obamacare. No, they didn't. They gave everybody Obamacare. You freaking fool. Black Panther was a much stronger, influential economic force than the KKK. Because we need to understand, the Black Panther Party was a political group. It was a political Black militant group. The KKK was a hate group. See, what people don't understand about the Black Panther Party, they wasn't all Black. They said power to the people. They said power to Black people, power to white people. They said power to Hispanic people, power to Asian people, power to the people. They first started off as a majority Black unified party to uplift Black communities by the way of trying to fight for political positioning in order to get tangible to the Black communities. And then as they were going around promoting their political views, they saw other groups going through some of the same disparities. So they said, you know what, let's make this a larger movement to help everybody out. Now, I didn't really agree with that per se, but nonetheless, the Black Panther Party grew in large numbers because they sought to encompass other groups. They said white power to white people, brown power to brown people, yellow power to yellow people, Black power to Black people. That's what they were all about, power to the people. Oh, man. D. Nice says, it's not nearly enough. We say it's enough because we are used to having nothing. That is correct. little and property stricken that we accept $600 or $1,400 and we think it's something. They give us pennies on a dollar. And D Nice, they gave it to everybody. They gave it to everybody. Let's remember that. They gave it to everybody. So that's no way, shape, or form reparations for anybody. Okay. Oh my gosh. I have to end this for those who are just joining me. So we essentially understand a lot of these talking points. This is not mainly against any particular race. Let me point that out. My Hispanic brothers and sisters, I'm simply pointing out how George H.W. Bush and Donald Trump gave you guys an Hispanic Initiative Prosperity Executive Order. Also, my Asian Americans out there, not hating against you guys either. All you guys are getting support, tangibles, resources, and opportunities. I'm explaining to my people, B1, that we continue to be undermined and ignored on every sense when it comes to education, healthcare, economics, so on and so forth. But they say, hey, listen, you guys are crying about reparations. You guys can take the vaccine first. Hell no, we ain't taking the goddamn vaccine first. Are you serious? Read the Medical Apartheid. Read that book. Read that book. Let me show you something really quickly. Let me show you something for you guys who don't understand, who probably already took the vaccine and you don't understand what this country has put our people through. I'm going to show you a book. Let me share this with you guys before I go in on one. Here we go. This is the book. You can copy it from Amazon. Medical Apartheid, The Dark History of Medical. It says the dark history of medical experimentation on Black Americans from colonial times to the present. To the present. This is what we have been going through. So no, we're not going to go out in droves because we remember. It's about time we remember everything. We can never get together as Black folks. They hate when we come together. Yeah, and they destroy us. When you think about the Black Lives Matter movement, that was a just cause, but not the organization. But even in that, I'm trying to remember an agenda and a plan. See, what we do is we'll have someone like George Floyd to lose his life because of police murdering Black people in the streets. And we fight for justice. We fight for comprehensive reform, but we don't have a concrete plan of using George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and those alike who have died by the hands of this system by some form of fashion in order to receive what is owed to us. See, we can't let our Black men and women and children die and not get something on a federal legislation level. If the only thing that we want to lock up a couple of police officers, they'll do that to keep the system of white supremacy in place. They say, hey, man, you're going to have to fall on your sword on this one. You're going to have to fall on your sword on this one. We have to get these Blacks from protesting, okay, because we know the UN ain't going to do nothing. The UN is basically a small arm of the American government. The UN is a small arm of the American government. They ain't going to do nothing. Because you would think it would be humanitarian crimes against people, against one particular group. Have they ever come in and put America up on charges against us as they see us dying and being killed in the streets against law enforcement? No. No. And then they say, oh, well, reparations, if we can get the vaccine first, because we're the group that's most resistant. Well, hell yeah, we're the most resistant. The dark history of medical experimentation on Black Americans. That is the history. Why in the hell would we be the first? I'll go first. Then you got, this is longer than I wanted to be, but I'm going somewhere. Tyler Perry gets on TV with some doctor telling us, explaining how the vaccine is going to attack the Corona-19 virus. And this lady, supposed to be intelligent, she is trying to talk Ebonics to us. And all the while I'm looking like, why do they continue to play us as fools? Why do they continue to talk to us like we're children? Why do they continue to talk like all of us are stupid? She up there talking about gangster jeans and what are you talking about? Can I look? You guys want to see it? Let me look this up. Oh my gosh. I know I'm going on one today. But ladies and gentlemen, the coonery, I feel like it's a large conspiracy that continues to go on to undermine us. I really do. Okay, that's not the one. Let me see if I can find. I'm trying to find out one video. Give me 1 second. No, that's 30 minutes. I'm definitely not looking at that. But they're talking about, let's see, CBS This Morning. They got all these videos out here. I don't want to bore you with the long video. I'm just trying to give you a quick snapshot. Okay, I'm trying to find this one video. Give me 1 second, family. Give me 1 second. You got to listen to this. She's talking to us like we're just straight freaking idiots. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, no, this is him talking to Gail Sayers or somebody, and they got Tyler Perry up here talking about taking the vaccine. No, I'm trying to find out one video where he's talking to, I believe it's on BET, but I think they had a clip on it. Talk with Dr. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna show you, family. Because oh my gosh. This is just ridiculous. I can't find the video, but they do have this little small video I'm gonna play for you guys.
Tyler Perry, that's what he is raising awareness about the coronavirus vaccine in a new special for BET, which is owned, by the way, by Viacom CBS. This is video of the filmmaker getting the first dose. Grady Health System in Atlanta approached Tyler Perry to get the shot to help get the word out. Black Americans, if you have heard, are disproportionately affected by the virus, and 1 in 3, think about that, are hesitant about getting this vaccine.
Hell yeah!
Aims to provide the facts about it, and in this clip, he talks with Grady Health System Dr. Kimberly Manning.
I'm hearing people say they either don't want it or that they're going to wait to get it. If you want to wait to be able to, come into community, to go to your family reunion, to be able to do the things that get us back to living, I think those are things to consider. And I've been saying to, my loved ones, this about us. Yeah. This is about us. The folks that are really taking the hardest hit are the people that are in your contacts in your cell phone if you look like us.
Boy, Tyler Perry joins us first.
Okay, family. I was trying to find a video when this doctor really explains how COVID-19 is essentially broke down. And it's so stupid. She's talking about gangster proteins and all. Let me see if I can find it. Because he talked to a couple of doctors. I really want to get to the point where he talked to the black doctor. Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second. I think I got it. Here we go.
Tell us about you and what you do.
So I'm a professor of medicine. I'm based at Grady, been there 20 years. And I'm the Associate Vice Chair for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in the Department of Medicine at Emory at Grady. And I spend a lot of time with medical students, residents, trainees, and I take care of patients at Grady Hospital in the clinics and on the hospital service.
And being a black person here, just a black woman in particular, you understand, as do I, the hesitation for black people to take this vaccine.
Absolutely.
Right?
I have a unique background in that I'm a graduate of Tuskegee University. And so I was born and raised on not only the excellence of the institution, but that story of what happened in Macon County, Alabama. Science is real. Well, history is real too.
Right.
And so I've really been trying to work hard to keep the dialogue open, to respect people's concerns and not just shut them down and make it seem like they're silly or invalid.
There are all these conspiracy theories out there about everything. So for COVID, I'm hearing bats.
It's probably bats. Bats are big carriers of all sorts of virus.
Yeah.
And probably a bat somehow infected.
Dominated in their choices and their thoughts, where the science is being completely pushed aside for political gain. How can...
But then your body goes, whoa, 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 wait a minute. This is not supposed to be here. Print for your house, right? And RNA is like a
of the discovery.
Family, here I found the part. Please stay with me. I see people dropping off, but here's the point I'm trying to make, how this doctor is trying to relate to Black people. And I'm like, you're intelligent, speak intelligent, we'll figure it out. But listen to this, family.
He was driving the project.
mRNA. Tell me what that is.
Well,
You got to talk to me like
I'm going to defer to my
Yeah, y'all got to talk to me like...
because
you gotta talk to me
Kimberly
like a 5-year-old.
describes this in a perfect way.
Good. Talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old, because
Okay.
you're not only talking to me, but you're talking to people of all age ranges right
Yep,
now,
yep.
and all.
He said, talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old. But she's gonna do a much better job than that, Tyler Perry.
Economic and social backgrounds and educational
Absolutely.
backgrounds.
And so I think the first thing to know is the difference between DNA and RNA.
Right.
So I like to think of it as DNA is like your blueprint for your house, right? And RNA is like a contractor that kind of gives information about what to do so that the blueprint comes out okay. And so what happened is they mapped out what the virus looks like and found out that there are these specific proteins in the virus, one of which is called a spike protein. And I call the spike protein the gangster spike protein, because that little gangster spike protein, that's the one that gets in your cell and makes
The gangster spike protein. Have you ever heard of Asian, white? I know we're different people, but it's almost belittling the Black race. I'm a gangster. You know what?
you sick. And so this is what the technology did. This is so dope. So what they did was they said, what if we made a vaccine that was just an mRNA coding only for that little gangster spike protein? And what if we could introduce that into your body, right? And then have your body develop an immune response that then remembers and recognizes it when it actually gets the virus, right? And so the way that it works is I kind of like to think of it as your friends and your homies in your neighborhood, right? So
Your friends and your homies,
right?
really?
It's wrapped up in this little lipid layer that gets it into your cell. Once it gets into your cell, this vaccine, it's the contractor. So it tells the cell, we're going to make these spikes. You start making the spikes, right? But then your body goes, whoa, 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 wait a minute. This is not supposed to be here.
Wait a minute.
Let me call security. Let me call
Security?
all my people. And that is your immune response. So you have these cells called macrophages. They come in to swoop up the cell, but not before your body sends a message to some of these immune cells, like your T cells and your B cells, to create that memory so that when you see this virus come after you later, then you know what to do. So I kind of think of it like, when something happens later, you already got the vaccine and you have these antibodies waiting for something to pop off, and you got the T cells looking around to see what's happening. Then you get hit with COVID,
Something
right?
to pop off.
But the T cells remember now. They have some memory, right? So they're going to sit back in the cut and be like, oh, that is not what I'm
The
thinking.
cells are sitting in
And
the
then
cut.
the antibodies
The
and
cells
weapons
are
come
sitting in the
pop
cut.
off, and they're like, oh, no. And they just rush. And that's really what happens. I mean,
Okay.
this is really what happens. So you are not getting the virus itself. You are getting the little contractor that comes in, tells you to make these spikes, right? You make those spikes, develop an immune response that is the immune response.
Bum, bum. She says sitting in the cut, waiting for things to pop off. Then you got the gangster proteins. I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, when we have Black people on TV that are in professional professions, and she's a doctor dealing with the vaccine, you don't think they continue to make more stereotypes about us? I'm just, man, I can't do it. This is bothering me. I mean, It's always exportation of black people. Don't give them reparations, but make them take the vaccine. Let them be the first guinea pig, the first guinea pigs to take this vaccine to see who die. Haven't you guys heard all these stories of black people dying? Not even black people, white people dying to take this virus. That's not what they want to happen. They wanted us to be the first test group. They realized they're not really taking the virus. Listen, zinc, vitamin D, magnesium, echinacea, a multivitamin, drink water, do some push-ups. You'll be okay. Wear your mask 6 feet apart. Don't do it. And just to end this video, ladies and gentlemen, I have to show you my buddy, my friend, my coon.
Gets rid of the actual virus.
Let me get rid of her. But I have to show you this guy. This guy just pisses me off. This guy pisses me off. Look at his house in the background. You guys see the steps? They're circling all the way around. Look how high his ceiling is. You can't even see it. But I'm going to play this for those who just joining me. And I'm going to end this video because I'm going to just play it. I'm going to try to stay non-emotional, okay? Because emotions don't get us nowhere. We got to have discipline. We have to have some discipline. We got to retain our emotions. But I never really wanted to punch a coon so bad. Virtually punch. Because, you know, YouTube algorithm, virtually, not a physical punch. But nonetheless, here you go. Listen to your friend, your coon, your trader, and your Sambo, ex-football player, millionaire, Herschel Walker, tell Congress that blacks shouldn't get reparations.
We use black power to create white guilt. My approach is biblical. How can I ask my Heavenly Father to forgive me if I can't forgive my brother? I never want to put anyone's religion down, but my religion teaches togetherness. Reparation teaches separation. Slavery ended over 130 years ago. How can a father be asked his son to spend prison time for a crime he committed? In the case we speak of, we're researching farther back in history, a history many are not taught or spoken about in school. America is the greatest country in the world to me, a melting pot of a lot of great races, a lot of great minds that have come together with different ideas and make America the greatest country on earth. Many have died trying to get into America. No one is dying trying to get out.
Oh man, give me a knife. Give me a knife, please. No, what? Let's up the ante. Give me a gun. I just need a. Oh my gosh. He said that reparations is separation, but no one says that Native Americans, the Japanese, some of the Irish, the Jews got reparations from America. But when it comes to us, we got people like him that's speaking for us. For those of you who are not familiar with this channel, this is Financial Literacy 101. I do financial videos, stock reviews, give financial information, and I do some things political. This to show us the hypocrisy, because we need to understand political legislation and bills actually is money. And that's why I talk about these things, because they all equate to economics. And we're the lowest group, we're the poorest group, we're the most oppressed group in this country. But we continue to be undermined when certain people come out with executive orders that help Asian Americans, when certain people come out with certain legislations that help Hispanic Americans. But as Black Americans, we get this plan that says Black America. But when they talk about tangibles, what do they give us? They say African American here. And then all the while they say opportunities for minorities, because they understand that absolutely undermines us and spreads the wealth to everybody except for us. But all those other groups, when you type in minority or people of color, it does not exist. Please like this video, share, and subscribe for those who may find use of it. This is Financial Literacy 101. Learn money and be inspired. You guys have a great night. That damn Herschel Walker, boy. It was dope. I mean, he probably just chilling in the cut in Congress.